I have to ask this because now once you kind of took, even though regardless of the content, right, a sermon don't pay bills, right? You can't send that to content, hey, I'm about to get this, So when it's come to actually the work of Jude 3 over the years and seeing God show up in conversation that you said, oh, this went left, or this, where have you seen God show up in the actual work? And this is innumerable, of course, but where you're just like, I'm not sure if I should move this forward. I'm not sure about the direction. I'm not sure if we're going to have provision for this. Where have you kind of seen God at work, and how has kind of God, even though this is the content of your work is around God, how has God really informed intentionally how you built the organization?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think one of the biggest ways I've saw God show up, there's a number of ways, but people always think that I have all the resources I need when I go into projects. So I remember when my friend Charlie dates, he was like, yeah, you could do Courageous. He was like, yeah, I feel like it needs to be an event. You can host it at my church. I was like, bet. I'll go to Chicago, tour his church, hang out with him and his family. And him and his wife are encouraging me, yeah, this will be dope. You can do it. And so I asked Charlie, I was like, how much do you think it'll be? He was like, yeah, I think 50,000. So mind you, we don't have anywhere near that in the bank. And that's, not in our budget at all. I can't even conceive of an event like us being able to afford an event like that. And so I go home, I was all on high. I was on 10 when I left. Went home, and I was like, yeah, this is I'll do this some years from now. This is just too much. And then I hear Bishop Jakes talking to Stephen Furtick, and he says, basically he's basically never had the resources to do the major projects. He just kind of moved on faith, for early in his ministry. And so I was like, I guess that's how you work. And then I remember Steve Harvey saying that you have to jump, even when you don't have a parachute, or it was something about
hit a couple rocks, you gonna do all that, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I guess we're gonna jump. And so I'm signing contracts, booking national speakers without any money to do any of this.
Yeah, you about to set the fire festival, yo.
That was so stressful. It was such a stressful time. I thought I wasn't gonna make it, but God just kept. I remember I had only raised $2,500. I had all these bills, and I was so discouraged. And I went. My friend was like, hey, the dean of a school is coming, and he wants to meet with you. And I'm like, man, I'm so discouraged. I'm like, I don't want to go to this meeting. This man ain't gonna help me. So I go to him and his wife had a condo that they were renting for a vacation home that they were renting at the beach. I go to dinner with them, and at dinner he says, I've been advocating for you. I've never met this man. And he's like, our school is going to send you $10,000. And I was like, for Courageous. And I was like, man, I didn't even want to be here. Right now, I was like, I just want to be at home in my bed, not being bothered, thinking about how I raise this money. And so it was just when he said that, it was man, God, you really have me. And it was really encouraging. And it always points me back to the scripture, the day the sun stood still. Oh. And in that passage, they had been fighting all day. And the scripture says God sent a hailstorm, and the hail killed more with the storm than they did in all their battles throughout the day. And it's that God supersedes all my efforts. And that even all my efforts that I try to do, God is always going to supersede, because he has to get the glory out of it. And so it just was a reminder, in one day, 4 or 5 times the amount I had raised, God had already been raising it on my behalf. Hey! And so at the end of the time, when the event happened, we had everything that we needed. And so I thank God for him showing out in that season.
Yo.
And it's stressful, but he does it.
This This is it's like giving me goosebumps like listening to it, because I think it's acceptable. I think people can understand being in that position on a lot of things, a lot of areas of their life, and actually moving, right? And I think even for you, as like that, the Wall Street thing doesn't leave you, right? It's kind of like, I need to know, I need a plan. Let's see this Excel sheet. Let's what? Like, it doesn't leave us, right? You need some certainty. You don't want to be unwise, because you see a lot of people jump off the jump out. You like, you ain't playing. You ain't got no. You mean where the loop? So, but I think that is encouraging for people to hear that, and I do want to kind of circle in for people. I think particularly in I think where they have that sense that they should do something, but they're kind of in this kind of liminal, place of I don't see how this is going to work out. Well, if it requires God, then perhaps maybe that's the way it works.